Today we are going to be looking at the Hydrobeats waterproof Bluetooth speaker. Now I got this because I had to get a new computer about a year ago, and it has only a handful of USB connectors, no speaker port, no speakers with it. A speaker is actually very important to me since I am visually impaired and I work on the computer for 8 or more hours a day. So I got this speaker in hopes that it would be helpful, because my new computer, of other things at least, it would support Bluetooth. So even though it didn't didn't have wires, which I'm not fond of depending on everything for Bluetooth, especially because, as I've mentioned in other videos, there's interference in much of our house, and especially in this office. And there's actually enough interference, you know, with everything being Wi-Fi, and we keep most of our electronics in this room, in this office. So sometimes it even actually loses connection with the computer, and we'll have to, and it automatically reconnects, but sometimes it does lose that for a minute and then reconnects. So this speaker, I've had it about a year, and again, I really only use it for my computer and not anything else. So it's been charging for some time, so I'm going to unplug it. It lasts on a single charge for less than a day. I'd say maybe 8 hours, and I do not use it a lot. I mean, really, it's not like it's running with the radio on a lot. You can see it flashes, it changes colors the whole time it's on. And I'm going to shut up this time. I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on so you can hear what it says.
Power on. Paired.
So now it's paired with my computer. When you get it at first, it's been a while since I've done it, but I think to get it to start immediately, you have to charge it. The instructions tell you to charge it for 3 full hours before you use it initially, and then make sure it's off, and then place it next to whatever you want it to pair with, and then you press and hold the power button for it. And it will then, if you activate the wireless feature on whatever device you're using, it will then search for the speaker. It was pretty easy to pair, and it has stayed paired with this, despite the fact that I also use a phone and earbuds that are Bluetooth in the same room. It has never tried to pair with anything else, and I've never had any issues there. So it has basically stayed connected for me. That's good. I like that. One thing, when I first got it, it was very, very loud. And it can be kind of hard to adjust the volume on it. You've got the volume button right here, which is also the forward if you're playing MP3. I've never played MP3s on it, so I've not used the buttons to see if it will change MP3 for me. This is your mode, so you can switch it between Bluetooth and FM radio, which my son loves to do. He will come in and grab it and just...
FM radio. Bluetooth mode.
And he'll just do that repeatedly. Now, it actually does do a really good job of picking up radio. I have used it a couple of times.
FM radio.
So your volume up and down buttons and your forward and back buttons happen to also be your... not the scan button, but the button that will switch to the next radio station. So you can have some problems if you're trying to adjust the volume when you're listening to the radio. You can inadvertently change the station, which is not something I'm fond of. I understand you're saving a lot of room here by having just a few buttons, but I think they could have, you know, doubled the number of buttons, made them smaller, and had them be far more effective, because it really is frustrating. So you just hold it to make the volume go up. If you accidentally press it just a little too quickly, you may end up changing station.
Bluetooth mode.
It really does have good sound. It picks up stations wonderfully. Of course, I can't choose the station, but it picks up stations very well. And one last feature, I got this actually initially because I thought it might be nice to listen to the radio in the shower. It is a waterproof speaker, and you actually can take it into the shower and listen to the radio in the shower. And sometimes it's nice to have a little music when you're in the shower. I have children, so really probably the music would just attract the children again. So I don't do that. But I had thought it would be a nice thing. It did come with a cord, and I'm not sure if this is the cord that it came with. But it's just a standard USB cord. So you can charge it however you like. And this is the cover for the charging port. You just pop it open like this. I've never really had issues with it. Sometimes it can be difficult because of this flap, I think. It can be difficult for that cord to stay in there. Even when it's just sitting on my desk. So sometimes when I think it's charged, it's not charging. So sometimes you have to be careful of that. But if you make sure it's in there securely, it shouldn't be a problem. I haven't had problems with it in the past few months. Though for the first few months I did have issues with it. It does charge in about 3 or 4 hours, I think, fully. And again, it tends to work for me for about 8 hours. Some days it's less than that. Some days it's more. I haven't really paid attention to how long and what causes that. And finally, one last thing. If it does tell you that it will announce battery low, please charge. If it does that, plug it in as quickly as possible. It may, however, lose power. You can't, if it does that and it does shut down and then you plug it in and then turn it back on, it will not stay on. It has to charge for a few minutes before you turn it back on because it uses more power than it draws at first. That's something I've learned over the past few months when I used to forget to plug it in every day. You can leave it plugged in and it works just fine. So sometimes I forget to unplug it and I just leave it plugged in and charging or plugged in and that's fine. It does have a suction cup, again, if you want to listen to it in the shower. And it does pretty well at actually sticking to my desk. So it doesn't wander off if I just bump it. It's pretty firmly on there. So what I have to do is actually slide it off of my desk if I want it to come off. So that's pretty good. That's really it. It's a nifty little speaker. Again, the only thing I've ever had an issue with is changing the volume and accidentally changing the station when listening to it. And it was initially very loud when I first got it. And it took me a while to figure out how to turn down that volume. So you do not press it down, or do not press it down repeatedly to change volume. You hold it down to change volume. Other than that, a great nifty little speaker.